Bernard Whitman, with his smart and sharp countenance, was a man whose wealth was as vast as the cityscape that stretched out beneath him. Bernard was a billionaire and the epitome of success, with a fortune that seemed limitless and a reputation that preceded him in every boardroom and social gathering. Bernard Whitman was a titan of industry, his name synonymous with success and prosperity in the busy metropolis he called home. His empire spanned a multitude of sectors, from finance to technology, real estate to entertainment. Bernard's exceptional business skills were widely acknowledged. His actions were carefully planned and executed, demonstrating a level of foresight and precision that astonished his competitors and inspired admiration from his allies. Bernard, as the CEO of his vast company, was a visionary who embraced innovation and exploration. His astute intellect and sharp humour matched his unwavering determination and relentless pursuit of excellence. In the competitive business world, he commanded respect for his unwavering drive to succeed and drive profitability. Underneath Bernard's affluent exterior, a complex inner life played out, unseen by most. While he exuded confidence and charisma in the boardroom, in the quiet moments of solitude he wrestled with doubts and insecurities like any other mortal. The weight of his responsibilities often bore heavily upon his shoulders, a constant reminder of the high stakes of his chosen path. Although he had a formidable reputation, Bernard was not without his flaws. He could be ruthless and uncompromising when it came to achieving his goals, his ambition driving him to push the boundaries of ethics and morality in pursuit of success. Yet beneath the hardened exterior lay a man capable of great compassion and empathy, particularly when it came to those closest to his heart. In the rare moments of respite from his relentless pursuit of success, Bernard could often be found indulging in his passions, whether it be the fine arts, exquisite cuisine, or the quiet solitude of nature. These were the moments when he allowed himself to simply be free from the burdens of his responsibilities, if only for a fleeting instant. To the world, Bernard Whitman was a paragon of success, a symbol of wealth and power, unmatched in the annals of history. But to those who truly knew him, he was so much more. A man of depth and complexity, driven by a burning desire to leave his mark upon the world, and yet ultimately defined by the love he held for those closest to his heart. As Bernard Whitman stood on the balcony of his towering skyscraper, overlooking the sprawling city below, his eyes glittered with a mix of determination and contemplation. The city seemed to pulse with life, a reflection of the energy that coursed through his veins with every heartbeat. "I built this empire from the ground up," Bernard remarked to no one in particular, his voice tinged with a hint of pride. "But it's not the buildings or the balance sheets that define me. It's the legacy I leave behind, the impact I make on the world." His words echoed in the stillness of the evening air, carrying with them the weight of years of hard work and sacrifice. Bernard knew better than anyone the price of success, the sacrifices that had been made along the way in pursuit of his ambitions. "And yet," he continued, his voice softer now, laced with a touch of vulnerability, "for all my achievements, it's my daughter, Ruby, who truly gives meaning to my life. Oh, she is my greatest accomplishment, my reason for being." A fleeting smile crossed Bernard's lips as he thought of Ruby, her laughter and her spirit a constant source of joy in his tumultuous existence. In her, he saw the promise of a future filled with hope and possibility, a legacy far more enduring than any business empire could ever hope to be. "And so," Bernard murmured, his gaze turning once more to the city below, "no matter what trials may come,
I will always strive to be the man she deserves. A father, a mentor, and above all, a source of unwavering love and support.
With that solemn vow hanging in the air, Bernard turned away from the balcony, his resolve renewed and his heart filled with purpose. For in the end, he knew that it was not the wealth or the power that defined him, but rather the depth of his love for his daughter and the legacy they would build together, one cherished moment at a time. Bernard always made an impression wherever he went, projecting an image of sophistication and authority through his presence. Tall and impeccably groomed, he moved with a grace that drew attention and commanded respect. His fitted suits, carefully selected to highlight his athletic build, reflected his meticulous attention to detail and pursuit of excellence. Each piece of clothing showcased his taste and a keen eye for fashion tailored perfectly to complement his physique. Bernard's handsome features added to his charm, with a defined jawline and intense eyes that seemed to convey wisdom beyond his years. His styled hair touched with a touch of grey. At the temples framed his face with an air of maturity and refinement. However, it was Bernard's demeanour that truly distinguished him. Whether navigating the corridors of his office building or mingling at a social event, he exuded an undeniable air of self-assurance that enveloped him like a protective shield. Bernard radiated intelligence, sophistication, and authority in every aspect of his appearance, portraying a man who had strived diligently for success and carried himself with the confidence befitting someone who knows their value. Throughout his journey in life, Bernard Whitman exuded a sense of resolve and unwavering determination, leaving no doubt in anyone's mind that he was a presence. In his personal life, Bernard was a devoted father to his daughter Ruby. Bernard prioritized his love for his daughter, Ruby, above all else, even his immense wealth. She brought unwavering happiness and fulfillment to his turbulent life, becoming his most significant source of joy and accomplishment. Despite his demanding business responsibilities, Bernard dedicated precious time to Ruby, cherishing their moments together as treasures amid the whirlwind of his life. Amid Bernard's lavish office, adorned with elegant furnishings and gleaming trophies of his success, he sat across from Ruby, their bond evident in the warmth that radiated between them.
"My dear Ruby,"
Bernard said tenderly, his voice filled with a father's adoration,
"you embody the best of humanity. Your joyous laughter brings warmth to my soul, and your compassion shines brightly in this sometimes gloomy world."
Ruby's eyes beamed with love as she looked at her father, her words expressing the deep bond they shared. She addressed him affectionately, saying that he had always been her light of guidance and stability. She acknowledged that her identity was shaped by the love and knowledge he had provided, expressing her immense gratitude. Their enduring words echoed, reflecting the unyielding connection that had weathered every obstacle and celebrated every victory they had faced together. They found comfort and resilience in each other's presence, their unwavering love shining brightly, even amidst the lavish and majestic surroundings. As they shared a knowing smile, father and daughter knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, their bond unyielding, their love unwavering. For in each other, they had found the greatest treasure of all, a love that surpassed wealth, power, and the passing of time. In the spacious penthouse atop Bernard's skyscraper, amidst the gleaming marble floors and panoramic views of the city skyline, Bernard and Ruby shared a bond that transcended the trappings of wealth and power. Many times they would sit together in the elegant living room and bathe in the warm glow of the setting sun. Bernard would cast a fond gaze upon his daughter, her presence a soothing balm to his weary soul.
"You know, Ruby,
Bernard began, his voice gentle yet tinged with a hint of nostalgia.
"I've been blessed with many things in this life, but none compared to the gift of having you as my daughter."
Ruby smiled, her eyes sparkling with affection as she reached out to clasp her father's hand in hers. "And I'm equally blessed to have you as my father, Dad," she replied, her voice soft yet filled with warmth. "You've always been there for me, through thick and thin, guiding me with your wisdom and unconditional love." Their bond was one forged in the crucible of shared experiences and countless moments of laughter and tears. From her first steps as a child to the milestones of adulthood, Bernard had been by Ruby's side every step of the way, a steadfast pillar of strength and support.
"And now, as you embark on this new chapter of your life with Owen,"
Bernard continued, his gaze momentarily distant as he contemplated the future,
"I want you to know that I'll always be here for you, no matter what challenges may come your way."
Ruby nodded, her heart overflowing with gratitude for the love and encouragement her father never failed to provide. "Thank you, Dad," she murmured, her voice filled with emotion. "Knowing that you believe in me means more to me than words can express." Bernard and Ruby's love was an enduring force that stood as a symbol of hope in a world often filled with negativity. Their shared love provided them with a place of peace and security. They were certain that no matter what challenges they faced, their bond would remain strong, serving as a source of support and comfort throughout their lives. Bernard was once a loving husband to his wife, Amelia. Amelia was a vision of grace and beauty, with porcelain skin that seemed to glow with an inner light and eyes that sparkled with intelligence and warmth. Her soft features were complemented by long, flowing brown hair that framed her face and added to her lovely appearance. But it was not just Amelia's physical beauty that drew Bernard to her. It was her intelligence and wit that truly captured his heart. She possessed a keen intellect, an insatiable curiosity, with a thirst for knowledge that knew no bounds. Her sharp mind and quick wit made her a captivating conversationalist, effortlessly engaging those around her with keen insights and playful banter. Amelia's intelligence was matched only by her kindness and compassion, qualities that endeared her to all who knew her. She had a rare gift for seeing the best in others, for finding beauty in the most unexpected places, and her gentle spirit touched the lives of those who crossed her path. In her presence, Bernard felt a sense of peace and contentment that he had never known before. She was his confidant, his partner in life, and his greatest ally, and he cherished every moment they spent together. "Life is an adventure, Bernard," Amelia would often say, her voice soft and melodious. "We must embrace each moment and seize every opportunity that comes our way." Her words were a constant source of inspiration to Bernard, a reminder to live life to the fullest and to never take a single moment for granted. And as he looked into her eyes, he knew that he had found his true soulmate, a woman whose beauty, intelligence, and kindness knew no bounds. With a smile, Amelia would take Bernard's hand in hers, her touch sending a thrill of warmth through his veins. "Together we can conquer anything," she would say, her voice filled with love and determination. "As long as we have each other, we can face whatever challenges life throws our way." Bernard knew that he was the luckiest man in the world, to have found a love as deep and enduring as Amelia's. With her by his side, he knew that they could weather any storm, overcome any obstacle, and emerge stronger and more united than ever before. From the moment Ruby came into the world, Bernard's paternal instincts kicked into overdrive. As he cradled her tiny form in his arms for the first time, he knew with unwavering certainty that he would do anything to protect her, to shield her from harm's way. However, as tragedy struck, When, months after Ruby was born, Bernard faced the most devastating loss of his life, the death of his beloved wife, Amelia. The sudden and unexpected tragedy left Bernard reeling, his world shattered in an instant. Amelia's passing was the result of a rare and aggressive illness that had taken hold of her with terrifying speed. Despite the best efforts of doctors and medical experts, there was little they could do to save her, leaving Bernard feeling helpless and lost in his grief. For Bernard, Amelia had been more than just a wife. She'd been his partner, his best friend, his rock in times of trouble. Her gentle spirit and unwavering support had been the foundation upon which their family was built, and her loss left a void in Bernard's heart that seemed impossible to fill. In the days and weeks that followed, Bernard struggled to come to terms with the reality of Amelia's death. The pain of her absence was a constant presence in his life, a heavy burden that weighed him down with each passing moment. Grief consumed Bernard, clouding his thoughts and numbing his senses to the world around him. He found himself withdrawing from the world, seeking solace in solitude as he grappled with the overwhelming sense of loss that threatened to consume him whole. But even in the depths of his despair, Bernard found a flicker of hope, a glimmer of light that shone through the darkness of his grief. It was Ruby, his precious daughter, who became his reason to carry on, his beacon of hope in a world filled with sorrow. In Ruby's eyes, Bernard saw echoes of Amelia's love and warmth, a reminder of the beautiful life they had created together. And though the pain of Amelia's loss would never truly fade, Bernard found comfort in the knowledge that her spirit lived on in their daughter, a constant source of strength and inspiration in the face of adversity. And so, with Ruby by his side, Bernard began the long and arduous journey of healing. Though the road ahead would be fraught with challenges and obstacles, he knew that as long as he had his daughter by his side, he would find the strength to carry on, one day at a time. As she grew, Ruby became the apple of Bernard's eye, her every smile and giggle a source of boundless joy for him. He watched over her with a vigilant eye, ensuring that she was always safe and secure even as she ventured out in the world around her. From scraped knees to broken hearts, Bernard was there for Ruby through every trial and tribulation, his unwavering support a constant source of comfort and strength. He would drop everything at a moment's notice to come to her aid, his love for her knowing no bounds. And Ruby, in turn, revelled in the special bond she shared with her father. She was a daddy's girl through and through, seeking solace in his arms whenever life's challenges became too much to bear. Bernard's words of wisdom and encouragement were like a soothing balm to her soul, his presence a beacon of light in even the darkest of times. Now Bernard had Helen as his second wife. Helen was a woman of extraordinary warmth and kindness, with a heart as big as the ocean and a smile that could light up a room. From the moment she entered Bernard and Ruby's lives, she brought with her a sense of joy and comfort that had been missing since Amelia's passing. Helen's beauty was not just in her appearance, though she was undeniably lovely with her gentle features and warm, inviting eyes. Her true beauty lay in her compassion and her capacity to love, qualities that endeared her to both Bernard and Ruby from the start. Unlike some stepmothers who might have resented the presence of another woman's child, Helen embraced Ruby as if she were her own. She showered her with love and affection, nurturing her like a mother hen with her chick. Ruby, in turn, grew to adore Helen, finding in her a mother figure who filled the void left by Amelia's passing. Helen's intelligence was also a force to be reckoned with. She was well-read and cultured, with a keen mind that was always eager to learn and explore new ideas. Her conversations with Bernard were a source of endless fascination as they delved into topics ranging from art and literature to politics and philosophy. But it was Helen's kindness that truly set her apart. She had a way of making everyone around her feel loved and valued, whether it was through a kind word or a thoughtful gesture. Her home became a haven of warmth and hospitality, a place where all were welcome and cared for. For Bernard, Helen was a blessing beyond measure. She brought light back into his life after years of darkness, filling his days with laughter and love. And for Ruby, Helen was more than just a stepmother. She was a second mother, a guiding light who helped her navigate the complexities of life with grace and compassion. Together, Bernard, Helen, and Ruby formed a family bound not by blood but by love, a love that transcended loss and adversity, and that would endure for a lifetime. Helen's presence in their lives was a testament to the power of love and kindness, and a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always light to be found. As the years passed, their bond only grew stronger, forged in the fires of countless shared experiences and cherished memories. Whether it was late-night talks over cups of hot cocoa or impromptu adventures through the city streets, the three of them were inseparable, their love for each other unshakable and true. Years later, as Ruby stood on the precipice of adulthood, preparing to embark on her journey in the world, Bernard couldn't help but marvel at the remarkable young woman she had become. She was his greatest legacy, his most precious treasure, and he knew that no matter where life might lead her, she would always carry a piece of him with her in her heart. Their bond was a testament to the enduring power of love, a bond that crossed the bounds of time and space. And as they stood together, hand in hand, ready to face whatever the future might hold, Bernard and Ruby knew that as long as they had each other, they could weather any storm that came their way. Ruby was a perfect example of warmth and kindness, her generous spirit radiating like sunshine wherever she went. From her infectious laughter to her genuine compassion for others, she had a way of brightening even the darkest of days with her presence alone. Despite her privileged upbringing, Ruby remained humble and down to earth, never hesitating to lend a helping hand to those in need. Whether it was volunteering at a local shelter or organising charity events for worthy causes, she was always eager to make a positive difference in the world around her. But for all her altruism and grace, Ruby had a playful side that was impossible to ignore. She had a knack for finding joy in the simplest of pleasures, whether it was dancing in the rain or chasing after fireflies in the twilight hours. Her laughter was infectious, drawing others into her orbit like moths to a flame. "I believe in spreading love and joy wherever I go," Ruby would often say with a bright smile, her eyes twinkling with sincerity. "Life is too short to dwell on negativity. Let's make every moment count." Despite her composed and mature demeanour, Ruby sometimes couldn't shake her adventurous spirit. She was drawn to the thrill of spontaneity and couldn't resist chasing the latest trends and fads with fervour. From dyeing her hair a bold new colour on a whim to impulsively booking a spontaneous road trip with friends, Ruby was never one to shy away from embracing the excitement of the moment. Her laughter, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze, would fill the air as she added, "Besides, where's the fun in always playing it safe? Sometimes you just have to dive headfirst into the unknown and see where it takes you." And when her friends would tease her about her latest spontaneous escapade, Ruby would simply shrug and grin, her playful spirit shining through. "Life's too short to take yourself too seriously," she'd quip, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "We have to embrace the chaos and make some memories worth cherishing." Keeping her occasional penchant for silliness aside, Ruby's heart was always in the right place. She approached life with an open mind and an adventurous spirit, eager to seize every opportunity that came her way. And while she may have stumbled along the way, her unwavering optimism and resilience never faltered, serving as a beacon of hope for all who were fortunate enough to know her. After years of dating, Ruby was engaged to her college lover, Owen. How did they meet? It is truly an adorable and charming story. Their first encounter was a captivating and endearing moment. They felt an instant connection, as if they had discovered their destined partner. Despite their contrasting personalities, their shared love and esteem for one another formed an unbreakable bond. In the bustling halls of their college campus, amidst the flurry of students rushing to and fro, Ruby's path crossed with that of Owen, igniting a spark that would set their hearts ablaze. It was a crisp autumn day when they first met, the air alive with the promise of new beginnings. Ruby, with her vibrant smile and easy charm, caught Owen's eye from across the courtyard, her laughter ringing out like music in the crisp autumn air. Intrigued by her infectious energy, Owen found himself drawn to her side, struck by the warmth and kindness that seemed to radiate from her every pore. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, as if they had known each other for a lifetime rather than mere moments. As they walked and talked, sharing stories and dreams beneath the dappled sunlight filtering through the trees, it became clear to both Ruby and Owen that they shared a connection unlike any they had ever known. It was as if fate had brought them together, weaving the threads of their lives into a tapestry of love and destiny. From that moment on, Ruby and Owen were inseparable, their bonds growing stronger with each passing day. They spent countless hours lost in conversation, exploring the hidden corners of the campus and discovering the depths of each other's hearts. Their love was a whirlwind of passion and intensity, fueled by a shared sense of adventure and a mutual desire to seize every moment that life had to offer. Together they laughed and loved, building memories that would last a lifetime. And as they stood, hand in hand, beneath the starry skies, their hearts entwined like vines in a garden of dreams, Ruby and Owen knew that they had found something truly special in each other. A love that knew no bounds, and a bond that would withstand the test of time. Time flew by in an instant, and under the same ethereal glow of the night sky and the illuminated skyline, Ruby and Owen's love transpired like a destined symphony. Strolling through the vibrant streets, Owen's eyes lovingly held Ruby's, his pulse quickening at her smile's radiance.
"Ruby," he whispered sweetly, "from the first encounter, I sensed a connection that was beyond the ordinary."
Ruby's cheeks flushed with a rosy hue as she leaned closer to Owen, her eyes alight with adoration. "And you, Owen," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper, "you've brought a kind of joy into my life that I never knew was possible. With you, every moment feels like a fairy tale come true." Their love was a symphony of whispered promises and stolen glances, each moment etched into the tapestry of their shared memories. From moonlit picnics in the park to lazy afternoons spent lost in each other's embrace, Ruby and Owen dwelled in the magic of their blooming romance.
"When I look into your eyes," Owen confessed, his voice trembling with emotion, "I see a future filled with endless possibilities. A future that I want to share with you by your side for all eternity."
Ruby's heart swelled with happiness as she reached out to caress Owen's cheek, her touch a gentle reassurance of the depth of her love. "Then let's make that future a reality," she whispered, her voice filled with conviction. "Together we can conquer anything that stands in our way." As they stood beneath the starlit sky, their fingers intertwined and their hearts beating as one, Ruby and Owen knew that their love was a force more powerful than any obstacle they might face. For, in each other's arms, they had found a love that transcended time and space. A love that would endure for all eternity. Months later, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the city skyline. Ruby and Owen sat together on a secluded rooftop terrace, the twinkling lights of the city spread out before them like a blanket of stars. "Can you believe we're engaged?" Ruby whispered, her eyes shining with joy as she turned to look at Owen, her hand resting gently in his. "I feel like the luckiest woman in the world." Owen smiled, his heart swelling with love as he gazed into Ruby's eyes.
"And I'm the luckiest man," he replied, his voice soft with emotion. "You've brought so much light and love into my life, Ruby. I can't imagine spending it with anyone else."
Their love was a symphony of whispers and shared dreams, each word a melody that danced between them in the cool evening breeze. They spoke of their hopes and aspirations, their fears and uncertainties, laying bare their hearts for each other to see. "And to think it all started with a chance encounter on campus," Ruby mused, her voice filled with wonder. "I am grateful every day that our paths crossed, Owen. You're my rock, my anchor, the love of my life." Owen reached out to brush a stray lock of hair from Ruby's face, his touch gentle and reassuring.
"And you're mine,"
he murmured, his gaze never wavering from hers.
"Together we can get through anything that comes our way. I promise to always stand by your side through thick and thin, come what may."
Their love was a beam of hope in a world filled with uncertainty, a guiding light that led them through the darkest of nights. As they sat together, bathed in the warm embrace of their love, Ruby and Owen knew that their journey was only just beginning, a journey filled with endless possibilities and a love that would endure for eternity. When Ruby and Owen announced their engagement, Bernard's heart was filled with a mix of emotion that he struggled to put into words. On the surface, he smiled and offered his congratulations, his voice laced with warmth and sincerity. After all, Ruby's happiness was paramount to him, and if she found joy in Owen's arms, then he would do everything in his power to support their union. Yet, beneath the veneer of civility, Bernard couldn't shake a nagging sense of unease that gnawed at him like a persistent ache. Owen was a decent man, to be sure, charming, ambitious, and seemingly devoted to Ruby with every fibre of his being. But Bernard was no stranger to the complexities of human nature, nor to the allure of wealth and power that could sometimes cloud even the purest of intentions. When he observed Ruby and Owen together, Bernard couldn't help but notice the occasional glimmer of recklessness in his daughter's eyes, a spark of impulsiveness that had always been a part of her nature. Ruby was a free spirit, prone to following her heart wherever it may lead, sometimes to the detriment of her well-being. And while Bernard did not doubt that Owen loved Ruby with all his heart, he couldn't shake the feeling that his daughter's penchant for making impulsive decisions could lead her down a dangerous path. He had worked too hard to build a life of stability and security for Ruby, only to see it jeopardized by the whims of fate and the instability of youth. But Bernard knew better than to voice his concerns aloud for fear of driving a wedge between himself and his beloved daughter. Instead, he chose to bide his time, watching and waiting with a wary eye as Ruby and Owen embarked on their journey together. For better or for worse, Bernard would stand by Ruby's side, offering his unwavering support and guidance as she navigated the turbulent waters of love and matrimony. And though he couldn't predict what the future held in store for them, he vowed to do everything in his power to protect his daughter from harm, even if it meant stepping into the shadows and watching from afar as she forged her path in life. As Ruby and Owen's love story unfolded like something out of a fairy tale, Bernard watched with a mixture of pride and joy. He could see the way Owen looked at his daughter with a love so deep and sincere that it warmed Bernard's heart.
"I've never seen her so happy,"
Bernard remarked one evening, as he and Owen shared a drink in his study.
"You truly bring out the best in her, Owen."
Owen smiled, his eyes alight with affection as he gazed at Ruby's photograph on Bernard's desk.
"She's an incredible woman," he replied, his voice filled with reverence. "I'm grateful every day for the chance to be a part of her life."
Their shared admiration for Ruby formed a bond between them, one rooted in a mutual desire to see her happiness above all else. For Bernard, knowing that Owen cherished his daughter as much as he did brought a sense of peace unlike anything he had ever known. And for Ruby, Owen's love was a hope of light in a world filled with uncertainty. As they walked hand in hand beneath the city lights, she couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder at the depth of their connection. "I never knew love could feel like this," Ruby whispered one night, her head resting against Owen's chest as they watched the stars twinkle above them. "With you, it's like everything falls into place." Owen pressed a gentle kiss to her forehead, his arms wrapping around her in a protective embrace.
"You're my everything, Ruby," he murmured, his voice soft yet filled with conviction. "I'll always be here for you, no matter what."
In those stolen moments beneath the city lights, Bernard knew that his daughter had found her happily ever after. As he looked upon the love that Ruby and Owen shared, he couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude for the remarkable young man who had captured his daughter's heart. As the wedding day drew near, both the Whitman and the Harrington households buzzed with excitement, their halls alive with the sound of laughter and the clinking of glasses. In the Whitman residence, Bernard watched with pride as his daughter, Ruby, flitted from room to room, her laughter echoing like music in the air. She was a vision of joy and anticipation, her eyes sparkling with excitement as she helped to coordinate the final details of the ceremony. Ruby's stepmother, Helen, busied herself in the kitchen, orchestrating a whirlwind of culinary delights for the upcoming festivities. "We must make sure everything is perfect for Ruby's big day," she declared, her voice filled with determination as she stirred a pot of simmering sauce. "After all, it's not every day that our little girl gets married." Bernard's elderly mother, Evelyn, sat in a cosy corner of the living room, a twinkle in her eye as she reminisced about weddings of days gone by. "I remember when I married your grandfather," she said, her voice tinged with nostalgia. "It was a day filled with love and laughter, just like this one." Meanwhile, in the Harrington home, Owen's family bustled about with equal fervour, their voices blending into a symphony of excitement and anticipation. Owen's parents beamed with pride as they prepared to welcome their future daughter-in-law into their midst, to shower her with affection and well wishes for their journey ahead. Throughout both households, family members mingled and laughed, sharing stories and memories as they worked together to prepare for the upcoming festivities. From elaborate dinners to impromptu dance parties in the living room, the air was alive with the spirit of celebration and camaraderie. Owen's younger sister, Jenna, bounced around with boundless energy, her excitement palpable in every gesture. "I can't wait to finally have a sister!" she exclaimed, her eyes shining with anticipation. "Ruby's like the sister I've always wanted, and now it's official!" In the midst of it all, Bernard and Owen's father, Robert, exchanged knowing glances, their silent understanding a testament to the bond that had formed between their families. Despite their differences, they were united in their shared joy for Ruby and Owen, their love transcending the boundaries of blood and lineage. Owen's father, Robert, clapped Bernard on the shoulder with a hearty laugh, his eyes crinkling at the corners with mirth. "Looks like we're gaining a daughter, eh?" he quipped, a smile spreading across his face. "I couldn't be happier to welcome Ruby into the family, Bernard." As the two families came together to celebrate the union of their children, their voices mingled in a chorus of love and laughter, their words a symphony of joy and anticipation for the journey that lay ahead. The final preparations fell into place, and the wedding day dawned bright and clear. Both families stood united in their love and support for the happy couple, their hearts overflowing with anticipation for the journey that lay ahead. For in that moment, surrounded by the love of their families and the promise of a future filled with endless possibilities, Ruby and Owen knew that they were truly blessed beyond measure. To Bernard, Owen appeared as the epitome of grace and charm whenever he was in the presence of Ruby's family, especially when in Bernard's company. Owen's demeanour was impeccable, his manners polished and his words carefully chosen. He seemed to effortlessly blend into their world of wealth and privilege, his quiet confidence speaking volumes where words fell short. Bernard found himself impressed by Owen's reserved nature, a stark contrast to Ruby's vibrant energy and infectious enthusiasm. While Ruby was the life of the party, Owen preferred to observe from the sidelines, his thoughtful gaze betraying a depth of character that intrigued Bernard. In their interactions, Bernard detected no flaws in Owen's facade, no hint of insincerity or ulterior motive. Instead, he saw a man who genuinely cared for Ruby, his love for her evident in the tender glances they shared and the gentle touch of his hand upon hers. And yet, despite his best efforts to discern Owen's true intentions, Bernard couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to him that met the eye. There was a mystery to Owen, a depth of character that seemed to elude Bernard's grasp, leaving him with a lingering sense of curiosity. Bernard had always been a shrewd judge of character, and as the wedding day approached, a nagging sense of doubt lingered in the back of his mind. He couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Owen than met the eye, and so he devised a plan to put his future son-in-law's character to the test. He planned to disguise himself as a waiter and serve Owen at the upscale hotel where he was staying. He knew that this would be the perfect opportunity to gauge Owen's true nature, to see how he reacted under pressure when faced with unexpected adversity. As Bernard contemplated his plan to test Owen's character, he knew he needed to execute it with precision and discretion. With the help of his trusted team and the cooperation of the hotel staff, he set about orchestrating his disguise as a waiter. Being a highly esteemed guest in the hotel, Bernard enlisted the support of the hotel's management, who were more than willing to assist him in his endeavour. With their help, he was able to procure a uniform that would allow him to blend seamlessly into the background, unnoticed by all but the most discerning eye. Under the cover of darkness, Bernard slipped into the uniform, his heart pounding with anticipation as he assumed his new identity. With practiced ease, he adjusted his appearance to match that of the hotel staff, ensuring that he would not arouse suspicion as he carried out his plan. As he made his way through the corridors of the hotel, Bernard couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement coursing through his veins. This was it. The moment he had been waiting for, the chance to put Owen's character to the test and see if he was truly worthy of his daughter's love. With each step, Bernard felt a renewed sense of determination wash over him, his resolve strengthened by the knowledge that he was doing what he believed was right. As he prepared to execute his plan, he knew he had the full support of his team and the hotel staff behind him, ready to assist him in any way they could. His disguise was in place and his heart set on his goal. Bernard stepped out into the night, ready to embark on his mission to uncover the truth about Owen once and for all. As he approached Owen's table with a tray of drinks, Bernard's hands trembled with nerves, his heart racing in his chest. He carefully selected his moment to execute his test. With a calculated motion, he accidentally spilt a drink onto Owen's lap, the liquid staining his clothes and eliciting a gasp of surprise from the young man. Owen's initial shock was palpable, his eyes widening in disbelief as he looked down at the wet spot on his trousers. His brows furrowed for a split second, a reflexive reaction to the unexpected mishap, but then something remarkable happened.
"Oh, Oh, I'm so sorry, sir, stammered Bernard in his made-up voice, his heart racing with anticipation as he awaited Owen's reaction. Instead of the expected outburst or even a hint of irritation, Owen's expression softened into a serene smile. He lifted his gaze to meet Bernard's, his eyes reflecting understanding and empathy rather than anger. "It's quite all right," Owen reassured, his tone calm and composed despite the chilly sensation seeping through his clothes. "These things happen." Bernard couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at Owen's reaction. The young man's composure was unwavering, his demeanour remarkably gracious in the face of the mishap. There was no trace of resentment or impatience, only a genuine sense of acceptance and kindness. "Thank you," Bernard replied, momentarily thrown off by Owen's unexpected response. "I'll get you a towel to dry off." With a nod of gratitude, Owen accepted the offer, his smile remaining firmly in place. As Bernard hurried off to fetch a towel, he couldn't help but marvel at the young man's remarkable poise. In that brief moment of adversity, Owen had shown himself to be a man of integrity and grace, qualities that spoke volumes about his character and filled Bernard with a newfound sense of respect and admiration. Bernard's heart pounded with anticipation, and a twinge of guilt gnawed at his conscience. He had expected Owen to react with frustration or annoyance, but instead he was met with a display of remarkable grace and composure that left Bernard feeling deeply moved. As he returned with a towel to help Owen dry off, Bernard found himself struggling to maintain his disguise as a humble waiter. Instead of finding Owen fuming with anger or making a scene, he found the young man engaged in a conversation with the other waiters and the manager, his demeanour calm and composed. Confusion flickered across Bernard's face as he approached, unsure of what to expect. Had Owen decided to confront him about the incident after all? Had he misunderstood the young man's reaction? But as Bernard drew closer, he realised that Owen's attention wasn't focused on him at all. Instead, the conversation centred around the condition of the floor, with Owen inquiring about the workload and pressure the waitstaff were under, and whether the spill had created any hazards for them or the patrons. Tears welled up in Bernard's eyes as he listened to Owen's thoughtful inquiries, his heart swelling with admiration for the young man's selflessness and concern for others. It was clear to Bernard now that Owen's reaction to the spill had nothing to do with himself, but rather with ensuring the safety and well-being of those around him. As the manager assured Owen that everything was under control and that the floor was being promptly attended to, Bernard felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. At that moment he realised that he had misjudged Owen, underestimating the depth of his character and the sincerity of his intentions. With a newfound sense of humility and respect, Bernard stepped forward, the towel in his hand forgotten as he reached out to shake Owen's hand. "I'm truly sorry for the spill," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "And I want to thank you for your kindness and concern. You're a wonderful young man." Owen's smile was warm and genuine as he accepted Bernard's apology, his eyes reflecting a sense of understanding and forgiveness. "No need to apologise," he replied, his voice soft but firm. "Accidents happen, and what's important is how we choose to respond to them." With those words, Bernard felt a weight lift from his shoulders, the tension and uncertainty that had plagued him since the spill dissipating like mist in the morning sun. In Owen, he had found not only a worthy son-in-law but a kindred spirit, a man whose compassion and integrity would be a guiding light for Ruby and their future together. The evening drew to a close, and the hustle and bustle of the city began to fade into the night, and Bernard found himself unable to shake the memory of his encounter with Owen earlier that evening. The young man's reaction to the spilled drink had left a profound impression on him, stirring emotions he hadn't felt in years.
Summoning his courage, Bernard sought out Owen, finding him alone in the quiet sanctuary of the hotel's courtyard. With a deep breath, he approached, his heart pounding with anticipation.
"Owen,"
Bernard began, his voice soft yet filled with conviction.
"There's something I need to tell you."
Owen turned to face him, his expression a mixture of curiosity and apprehension.
"Mr. Bernard, I didn't know you were here. What's the matter?" he asked, his voice tinged with uncertainty.
With a steady gaze, Bernard revealed his true identity, his words tumbling forth in a rush of emotion.
I was the waiter who spilt the drink on you earlier,"
he confessed, his heart laid bare before Owen.
"I wanted to test your character, to see how you would react under pressure. I must say, you exceeded all of my expectations."
Bernard nervously awaited Owen's response to his revelation, and a sense of dread gnawed at his insides. He feared that he had overstepped his bounds, that his attempt to test Owen's character had been nothing short of a betrayal of trust. Would Owen be angry? Disappointed? Would he see Bernard in a different light? To Bernard's surprise, Owen's expression softened into a smile, his eyes shining with understanding.
"I see," he said, his voice filled with warmth. "Thank you for being honest with me, Mr. Bernard."
Owen's reaction was not one of anger or resentment, but of understanding and empathy. As Bernard poured out his heart, confessing why he was disguised as a waiter, and the purpose behind his actions, Owen listened intently, his expression thoughtful and contemplative. When Bernard finished speaking, there was a moment of silence between them, thick with tension and uncertainty. Then, to Bernard's utter relief, Owen broke into a warm, reassuring smile.
"Mr. Bernard," he said, his voice gentle yet firm, "I understand why you did what you did. You were just looking out for your daughter, trying to ensure that she would be with someone who truly cares for her. If I were in your shoes, I would have probably done the same, or even something more extreme."
Bernard felt a lump form in his throat as Owen's words washed over him like a soothing balm. Here was a man who not only forgave him for his indiscretion, but understood the motivations behind it. It was a moment of profound validation, a reaffirmation of the bond that existed between them. Tears filled Bernard's eyes as he reached out to clasp Owen's hand in his own.
"Thank you, Owen," he whispered, his voice choked with emotion, "for your understanding and your kindness. You truly are a remarkable man, and I couldn't be prouder to have you as my future son-in-law."
At that moment, Bernard felt a weight lift from his shoulders, a sense of relief washing over him like a gentle wave. He had expected Owen to be angry or resentful, but instead, the young man's response was one of acceptance and grace. With a heartfelt embrace, Bernard welcomed Owen into the family with open arms, knowing in his heart that he had found the perfect match for his beloved daughter.
"I couldn't be happier to have you as part of our family," he said, his voice filled with pride. And as they stood together in the open air, father and future son-in-law, Bernard knew that their bond would only grow stronger with time, forged in the fires of mutual respect and understanding. From that day forward, he was certain that Owen would always hold a special place in his heart, a gleam of hope and love in the journey that lay ahead. Owen possessed an understated elegance that drew people to him like a magnet. With a tall, athletic build and a natural grace in his movements, he exuded a quiet confidence that spoke volumes about his character. His warm, hazel eyes sparkled with intelligence and kindness, reflecting a depth of soul that belied his years. Framed by dark, tousled hair that fell effortlessly into place, Owen's features were handsome in a way that was both striking and approachable. But it was Owen's personality that truly set him apart. Despite his privileged upbringing, he remained grounded and humble, treating everyone he met with respect and kindness. His easygoing nature made him a natural conversationalist with a ready smile and a quick wit to put others at ease.
Owen had a knack for seeing the beauty in the world around him, whether it was in the simple pleasures of nature or the intricacies of human relationships. He was a true romantic at heart, with a deep appreciation for love and connection that shone through in everything he did. But beneath his gentle exterior lay a quiet strength and determination that served him well in the face of adversity. Owen was not one to back down from a challenge, tackling each obstacle with a quiet resolve and unwavering determination. In every aspect of his character and appearance, Owen embodied the qualities of a true gentleman. Kind, compassionate, and fiercely loyal. And as he stood by Ruby's side, his love for her evident in every glance and every touch, it was clear to all who knew him that Owen was a man of integrity and honour, worthy of both admiration and respect. Later that night, when Ruby learnt of Bernard's actions through one of the waiters, her initial reaction was one of shock and disbelief. "Dad, how could you?" she exclaimed, her voice tinged with hurt and anger. "I can't believe you would go behind my back like that." Bernard's heart sank at the sight of his daughter's distress, his guilt weighing heavily on his shoulders.
"Ruby, I'm sorry," he stammered, struggling to find the right words to explain himself. "I was only trying to protect you, to make sure that Owen was truly worthy of your love." But Ruby's anger only seemed to grow, her eyes flashing with indignation. "Protect me? From what, Dad? From making my own choices? From following my heart?" she retorted, her voice cracking with emotion. "I thought you trusted me to make decisions for myself." Bernard could not hold back his tears as he reached out to his daughter, his heart aching with remorse. "Oh, Ruby, of course I trust you," he insisted, his voice trembling with emotion. I wanted to be sure that Owen was the right man for you, that's all." But Ruby's resolve remained firm, her hurt too deep to be easily assuaged. "I appreciate your concern, Dad," she said, her voice softening slightly. "But this wasn't your decision to make. It was mine. And now I don't know what to think." As Bernard watched his daughter turn away, her shoulders slumped with disappointment, he felt a pang of regret unlike any he had ever known. He had only wanted what was best for Ruby, to protect her from the pain of heartbreak and disappointment. But in doing so, he had inadvertently caused her even greater pain. The pain of feeling misunderstood and betrayed by the one person she had always looked up to. With a heavy heart, Bernard knew that he had much to make amends for, much healing to do in the fractured relationship between himself and his daughter. But as he gazed upon her retreating form, he vowed to do whatever it took to earn back her trust and her forgiveness, no matter how long it might take. For, in the end, there was nothing more important to him than the bond he shared with his beloved Ruby. Right at that moment, Owen walked into the room, sensing the tension that hung thick in the air, his keen intuition immediately picking up on the discord between Bernard and Ruby. With a calm and steady presence, he approached them, his gaze soft and understanding. "Ruby, Mr. Bernard," Owen began, his voice gentle yet resolute. "I couldn't help but overhear your conversation, and I want to assure you both that I don't hold any ill feelings about what happened."
Ruby turned to face Owen, her eyes still brimming with hurt and confusion. "But Owen, it's not fair," she protested, her voice wavering with emotion. "My dad went behind my back to test you, to see if you were worthy of me. How can you say you're okay with that?" Owen's smile was warm and reassuring as he reached out to take Ruby's hand in his own.
"Because I understand where Mr. Bernard was coming from," he explained, his voice steady and unwavering. "He loves you more than anything in this world, Ruby, and he only wanted to make sure that I was worthy of your love. I can't fault him for that." Owen turned to Bernard, his expression earnest. "And you, Mr. Bernard, are a loving father who would do anything to protect his daughter," he replied, his voice filled with sincerity. "I respect you for that, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to prove myself to you."
Bernard's eyes filled with gratitude as he listened to Owen's words, a sense of relief washing over him like a soothing tide.
"Thank you, Owen," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "Thank you for being so understanding."
At that moment, the tension that had hung between them seemed to dissipate, replaced by an overwhelming sense of unity and understanding. Ruby felt a weight lift from her shoulders. As she looked from Owen to Bernard and back again, a sense of peace settling over her like a warm blanket. And as they stood together, hand in hand, father, daughter, and future son-in-law, they knew that their bond was stronger than ever, forged in the fires of adversity and tempered by the unbreakable ties of love and family. As Bernard reflected on his interactions with Owen, he realized that he had only scratched the surface of the young man's true character. While Owen had always been polite and courteous in his presence, Bernard now understood that there was much more to him than met the eye. Owen, it seemed, was a reserved man by nature, his true colours only revealed in the presence of Ruby. It was with her that he felt most at ease, most himself, allowing his playful and vibrant personality to shine through. In their moments together, Bernard had caught glimpses of Owen's true self, the way his eyes lit up with laughter when Ruby told a joke, or the way his smile widened when she shared her dreams and aspirations. It was in those moments that Bernard saw the depth of Owen's love for his daughter, a love that transcended words and spoke directly to the heart. And as Bernard watched Owen and Ruby together, their love radiating brightly in the darkness, he knew that he had misjudged the young man. Beneath his reserved exterior lay a heart of gold, a soul brimming with warmth and affection for the woman he cherished above all else. From that day forward, Bernard vowed to look beyond the surface, to see Owen for the remarkable man he truly was. A man whose love for Ruby knew no bounds, and whose loyalty and devotion were unwavering in the face of adversity. As he embraced the newfound understanding between them, Bernard knew that their relationship would only grow stronger with time, built on a foundation of mutual respect, trust, and love. On the eve of her wedding, Ruby found herself enveloped in a rare moment of quietude. With a gentle sigh, she allowed herself to sink into the embrace of the moment, savouring the stillness that enveloped her. She sat alone in her room as her thoughts drifted to the journey that had brought her to this moment. A journey filled with laughter and tears, triumphs and setbacks, but above all, love. Tomorrow would mark the beginning of a new chapter in her life. A chapter that held the promise of endless possibilities and boundless joy. As Ruby stood before the mirror, gently brushing out her hair, her mind drifted to thoughts of her mother, Amelia. She had never met her, never felt the warmth of her embrace, or heard the sound of her laughter. Yet Amelia's presence loomed large in Ruby's heart, a silent but ever-present presence that she longed to connect with. "I wonder what you were like, Mum," Ruby murmured, her voice tinged with longing. "I wish I could have known you, even just for a moment." Turning away from the mirror, Ruby crossed the room to a small chest tucked away in the corner. With trembling hands she lifted the lid, revealing a treasure trove of memories, old photographs, handwritten letters, and cherished mementos that had once belonged to her mother. As she sifted through the contents of the chest, Ruby's heart swelled with emotion. Each item held a piece of her mother's spirit, a glimpse into a world she had never known. And though the ache of Amelia's absence weighed heavily on her heart, there was also a sense of comfort in the connection that these relics provided. "I miss you, Mum," Ruby whispered, her voice barely above a whisper. "I wish you were here with us, to share in all the moments that make life worth living." In the quiet solitude of her room, Ruby found solace in the memories of her mother. She would spend hours poring over old photographs, tracing the lines of Amelia's face with her fingertips, and imagining the sound of her voice. And though the longing in her heart never truly faded, there was a sense of peace in knowing that Amelia's love would always be with her, a guiding light in the darkness of her grief. "I'll always carry you in my heart, Mum," Ruby vowed, her voice filled with determination. "And I'll make you proud, I promise." The big day finally arrived with lots of hubbub and excitement. The wedding scene was a vibrant tapestry of colour and emotion, with family members and loved ones coming together to celebrate the union of Ruby and Owen. As guests arrived at the venue, they were greeted with the sight of elegant decorations and fragrant floral arrangements, creating an atmosphere of enchantment and romance. Family members mingled with friends, exchanging warm embraces and heartfelt congratulations as they awaited the arrival of the bride and groom. Bernard stood tall and proud at the entrance, welcoming guests with a warm smile and a firm handshake. He was surrounded by his closest friends and family members, each one beaming with anticipation and excitement for the joyous occasion ahead. Inside the venue, the air was filled with the soft strains of music and the sound of laughter as guests took their seats, eagerly awaiting the start of the ceremony. Family members exchanged knowing glances and whispered words of encouragement, their hearts filled with love and happiness for the couple about to exchange vows. After greeting the guests, Bernard stood at the altar, watching his daughter, Ruby, with emotions threatening to overwhelm him. Tears welled up in his eyes as he thought of how far they had come, of the journey they had undertaken together as a family. Helen noticed Bernard's emotional state and approached him, her eyes filled with understanding and compassion. Placing a gentle hand on his arm, she offered him a comforting smile. "Bernard," she said softly, her voice filled with warmth, "I know this must be difficult for you, but remember, Amelia is watching over us, and she must be so proud of you all." Bernard's heart swelled with gratitude at Helen's words, a sense of peace washing over him like a gentle tide. He turned to her, his eyes shining with tears. "Thank you, Helen," he whispered, his voice choked with emotion. "I couldn't have done this without you." Helen squeezed his arm reassuringly, her presence a source of strength and comfort in his moment of need. Together, they stood in silent solidarity, watching as Ruby and Owen, their hearts full of hope and joy for the future. "We did good, didn't we?" she said softly, her eyes shining with pride. "Our little girl is all grown up." Bernard smiled, a lump forming in his throat at the sight of Helen's affection. "Yes, we did," he replied, his voice filled with emotion. "And she couldn't have chosen a better partner than Owen." Meanwhile, across the room, Owen's younger sister Jenna stood nervously in her bridesmaid's gown, adjusting it for what felt like the 100th time. She caught the eye of her older brother, a teasing grin playing on his lips as he approached. "Relax, Jenna," Owen chided gently, reaching out to help her with a loving touch. "You look perfect. Grandma would be so proud of you." Jenna's eyes welled up with tears at the mention of their late grandmother, a bittersweet reminder of the absence felt on such a momentous day. "I just wish she could be here," she murmured, her voice choking with emotion. "She is here, Jenna," Owen said softly, wrapping his sister in a warm embrace. "In spirit, if not in person, and she's smiling down on us right now, I'm sure of it." As the ceremony began, and Ruby made her grand entrance, escorted by her proud father, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. The love and joy that filled the room were palpable, a testament to the bond that united their family in both joy and sorrow. The air was filled with anticipation and excitement as friends and family gathered to witness the union of two souls destined to be together. As Ruby walked down the aisle on her father's arm, her radiant smile lighting up the room, Bernard felt a lump form in his throat. She was a vision of beauty and grace, a symbol of everything he held dear in this world. As the ceremony began, Bernard's eyes never strayed from Ruby and Owen. The love and devotion between them in every glance, every touch. They spoke their vows with sincerity and conviction, promising to love and cherish each other for all eternity. The sun shone brightly in the clear blue sky, casting a warm glow over the grand ceremony that was about to unfold. Bernard stood at the back of the venue, his heart swelling with pride as he watched his daughter, Ruby, step forward to exchange vows with Owen, the man who had captured her heart.
I promise to love you unconditionally, to stand by your side through the good times and the bad,
Owen vowed, his voice filled with emotion.
You are my rock, my confidant, my everything. I am so grateful to have you in my life, Ruby, and I promise to cherish you for all eternity.
Ruby's voice trembled with emotion as she spoke her vows, her eyes shining with tears of happiness. I promise to support you, to uplift you, to be your partner in every sense of the word, she pledged. You are my best friend, my soulmate, and I'm honoured to call you my husband. I love you more than words can express, Owen, and I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you. And as they exchanged rings, sealing their commitment with a kiss, Bernard felt a sense of peace wash over him like a gentle tide. His daughter was in good hands with Owen, a man who had passed his test with flying colours, proving himself to be worthy of Ruby's love and trust. Throughout the ceremony, family members shared tender moments of support and affection, offering quiet words of encouragement and wiping away tears of joy. The reception that followed was a grand celebration of love and happiness, filled with laughter and tears of joy. Bernard looked on proudly as Ruby and Owen danced together, their laughter mingling with the music as they twirled across the dance floor. At that moment, surrounded by their loved ones, Bernard knew that his daughter had found her happily ever after. And as he raised a glass to toast the newlyweds, his heart overflowing with love and gratitude, he knew that their journey together was only just beginning. With Ruby and Owen by each other's side, there was nothing they couldn't overcome, no obstacles they couldn't conquer. And as the night wore on, Bernard danced with his daughter, his heart bursting with pride and happiness, knowing that she was exactly where she belonged, in the arms of the man who had captured her heart and in the embrace of a love that would last a lifetime. The wedding ceremony concluded with Ruby and Owen dancing together and sealing their love with a tender kiss. The air was filled with a sense of jubilation and celebration. Guests poured out of the chapel, their hearts full and their smiles radiant, ready to continue the festivities at the grand reception. In the elegantly decorated reception hall, the Whitman and Harrington families mingled and laughed, their joyous energy infectious. Bernard found himself surrounded by familiar faces, old friends and new acquaintances alike, all eager to offer their congratulations to the happy couple.
Congratulations, Bernard! One of Bernard's longtime friends exclaimed, clapping him on the back with a grin. You've raised a remarkable daughter, my friend. Here's to many years of happiness for Ruby and Owen.
Bernard smiled gratefully, his heart swelling with pride at the words of praise.
Thank you, he replied warmly, raising his glass in a toast. To Ruby and Owen, may their love shine brightly for all eternity.
Across the room, Ruby's stepmother, Helen, shared a heartfelt embrace with Owen's parents, her eyes shining with tears of happiness. I couldn't be happier for Ruby and Owen, she said, her voice choked with emotion. They make such a beautiful couple. Owen's mother nodded in agreement, her eyes sparkling with pride. They certainly do, she replied, her voice filled with warmth.
Oh, we're so grateful to welcome Ruby into our family. She's a perfect match for our son.
As the evening wore on, the Whitman and Harrington families danced and laughed, their spirits soaring as they celebrated the union of two families joined together by love. As Bernard looked around at the joyous scene unfolding before him, he knew that this was only the beginning of a new chapter filled with love, laughter, and endless possibilities. Ruby and Owen glided gracefully across the dance floor for their first dance as husband and wife. Bernard watched with a heart overflowing with gratitude. The soft strains of music filled the air, wrapping around them like a warm embrace as they moved in perfect harmony. Beside him, Bernard's mother Evelyn smiled wistfully, her eyes shimmering with tears of joy.
"They make such a beautiful couple, don't they?"
she remarked, her voice soft with emotion. Bernard nodded, his gaze never leaving the newlyweds as they twirled and swayed in each other's arms.
"They do," he agreed, his voice filled with pride. "I couldn't be happier for them."
As he watched Ruby and Owen dance, Bernard couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder at the journey that had brought them all together. From that incident at the hotel to this magical moment on the dance floor, it was a reminder that true love and kindness could transcend social status and wealth.
"It's moments like these that remind me of what truly matters in life,"
Bernard mused, his thoughts drifting back to the unexpected encounter that had changed everything.
Love, family, kindness. These are the things that make life worth living.
Beside him, Helen reached out to squeeze his hand, her touch a silent affirmation of their shared understanding.
"Yes, Bernard,"
she said softly, her eyes shining with love.
"And we're so fortunate to have found that in each other and our children."
As the music swelled to a crescendo and Ruby and Owen shared a tender kiss, Bernard felt a sense of peace settle over him like a warm blanket. In that moment, surrounded by their loved ones, he knew that they were exactly where they were meant to be, together, united by love and bound by the ties of family. And as the night wore on and the celebrations continued, Bernard couldn't help but feel grateful for the hotel incident that had brought them all closer together. It was a reminder that sometimes the most valuable treasures in life were found in the simplest of gestures. A spilt drink, a kind word, and a shared dance beneath the stars.